the exchange of what? The exchange of gases gets to facilitate the exchange of what? The exchange of gases. So the exchange of gases, these gases that we are talking about are the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So the gases that we are talking about that are being facilitated by the Gill filament is the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Between what we say, between what we get to call between the waters and what? Between the water and the fish blood. And the fish what? Blood. This is something that you are supposed to get. So if I tell you what is the function of the Gill filament, you are supposed to tell me their function is just to facilitate the exchange of gases. The gases that we are talking about are these two, oxygen and carbon dioxide, between the water and the what? And the fish's blood. So this is something that you need to get. We now go to now these things that I said. So this is the first one. So I will say this is the first one that we need to know. Secondly, I'm going to look at what we get to call now the Gill rackers. So I say the Gill what? The Gill rackers. What is the function of these Gill rackers? So I'm telling you to say the function of the Gill rackers, these ones. What is the function of this? The function is just to do what? The function is to filter. So I'll say to do what? Is to filter. I'll say the function is to get to filter food what? Food particles. It gets to filter food particles from what? From water. So I'll say from water, it gets to filter food particles from water. You should be writing this in full. This is water. So the function of these ones, in fact, they've got two functions. The first one is the part that we get to call the feeding part. So discover that this feeding part is where they get to filter some food particles from the waters. And another function, which is a protective function. So a protective function now is that what they get to do, these ones, is that they are going to protect or they are going to prevent large particles from entering the Gill chamber. So they are going to do what? I will say they prevent. They get to do what? They prevent large, I will say they get to prevent large what? Large particles. They get to prevent large particles from what? From entering, I'll say, from what? From entering the Gill chamber. From entering the Gill chamber. So this is what you need to get. So we've got two functions. The first function is the feeding part, where they get to filter food particles from water. You discover that they trap some organisms as water flows into the gills. So they are going to do what? They are going to trap some small organisms as water enters over the water, or as water flows over the gills. And the protective function of these Gill rackers is that they prevent large particles from entering the Gill chamber. So these are the two functions. If you find a question in an exam, you must be able to answer that particular question. So I guess we are moving together and we are able to see how these things happen. How about this one? So you write it down. So I'm going to write it here due to space. This one is the what? The Gill bar. Its function is very simple. As you can see, it is in between the what? The Gill rackers and the Gill filament. So what is the function of the Gill bar? So the Gill bar just provides the structural support. So it does what? Its function is just to provide. So say provide what? Structural. It gets to provide the structural what? Structural support. So I'll say structural support. Structural support to the what? To the Gill, to the gills. I will say to the what? To the gills. Apart from the gills, it also stand as support for the gill rackers and the gill filaments. So I'll just say to the what, to the gills, and make sure that these ones, especially the gill rackers, are in place. So it's make sure that these two gill rackers and the gill filaments are in their position.